Time to get serious with Mega March.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Mega March. We are continuing on our march through all the different versions of Mega Man X. Oh, you see what I did there?
I like that.
Put a little stank on it, yo.
Oh.
Ooh, hell yeah. We're gonna be bringing it with the puns. Once again, I am Twitch from REVO, and I am here partnering with my good buddy...
Coleman X. Hello.
Yes. So for those of you who are just joining us for whatever reason, basically we're going through every single kind of design that X has ever had in a thing that we like to call Oops All X's. We've done Oops All Zeros before, but X is a little bit bigger. So we're going to be spreading this out throughout the entire month of March.
Yay.
So, in the last episode, we just finished covering all of X's basic vanilla default designs. We've gone through the beta designs, we've gone through the basic blue armor designs, we did the command mission designs that he's got, including the beta for command mission. And now we're moving on to armors, and so, of course, it is only natural that the first armor we cover is indeed the first armor.
Hey.
I mean, that just makes sense if you ask me when you say it out loud like that, you know what I'm saying?
I think so.
So, let's go ahead and jump right into it like X jumps into those dang-ass capsules. So, what do we got here, Cole? Why don't you give me your synopsis and I'll follow on after.
Well, we got this beautiful, sleek boy, and the first time I saw it, you know, this is back when I only knew of the Mega Man cartoons, so I'm like, he's all blue. And then I see this cover art, and it's like white and gold. I'm like, what is this? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it's just, it's sleek, it's iconic, it's the first armor, you know?
Yes, I second all of that, but we're not talking about the second armor. We're talking
Not
about
yet.
the first armor. Not yet, boy!
Oh.
We're gonna Giga Crash right on into that one after this one, so, you know, just prepare for it. See these segues? This is why they pay me the big bucks.
That's true, they do.
Actually, I don't get paid at all for this. I just love talking about Mega Man.
It's true, they do.
Well, yeah, I guess I sort of do in a YouTube sort of way. But anyway, moving on.
Yep.
This is the first armor. This is the armor that would set the precedent for all future armors. And as a result, I kind of love this armor. It is one of my favorite armors ever, even though it is the first one. It adds a lot of nice features to X, both visually and both literally. And it's not, like, overly complicated. It adds just enough. Like, this looks like an upgraded X.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just like it.
There's a lot going on with it, but there's very little going on. You know, like
it's simple.
There's
you don't get
zero
lost.
clutter.
Yeah, there's no clutter. Like, I had to look at the armor again to realize that the chest and legs are very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the chest has a cool blue trim that kind of goes around it with, like, that yellow Saiyan armor thing that it's got going on. But the rest of the chest is otherwise completely bare. It's just a white ball.
And it works. I think it's because it doesn't have the little, like, titty lines, you know, that the normal armor has. So it's a contrast, and it looks like armor, you know?
Yeah, it almost looks like X is... It's like a hard shell, you know what I mean? As opposed to, like armor panels, which might separate or whatever. This looks like a hard shell, like a thing that's on top of him, you know, on top of the existing armor. Mm-hmm. And it just looks good. Some people jokingly say this is like the Saiyan armor design for X, because it's got a similar color scheme, and he's got like the yellow lines on like the stomach area, he's got the pointed shoulder pads and stuff. But yeah, man, overall this is just excellent. I think it's cool. Excellent. See, we haven't dropped that from episode 1. I like that his pointed long oval shape forehead gem kind of expands outward into like a neat triangle gem. He doesn't have a forehead crest, so like that's an interesting take, because now it splits into this cool like these like yellow arches that are on his head, which is kind of cool. Gives him like a little bit of like a Gundam look. Obviously, not exactly the same because Gundam ones just come straight off. These stick to the head. He's got a belt.
His hair is slicked back.
Yes, exactly. He's going Phoenix Wright on us. Actually, that's not an inaccurate description, because when we get to the next thing that we're going to talk about, you'll see that, yeah, it really is slicked back. But, yeah, man, it's just cool. Like, they just made him look great. The Buster is just a little bit complicated. Not overly complicated, just a little bit complicated. And I think that is befitting of the fact that it is, like, this much larger Buster thing. You know, it's more complicated, it does more stuff, it can charge up special weapons. I don't really know why adding 2 extra barrels on top does that, but whatever, it works. I like the belt that he has. The belt is nice around his like pelvis armor. That's really cool. I'm normally not a fan of like ankle joints, but if it's on an upgraded version of armor, I don't care because it's an upgrade. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you know, X would get some extra padding around his ankles or something like that.
Those are the wheels that let him use the wheel boots to dash.
Yes, that's what's going on. When X gets low to the ground like that during a dash, those wheels touch the ground and just propel him forward.
Yep.
He's like a little Hot Wheels car. No, but they're cool. I like the yellow trim around the ankles is very similar to the blue trim around the chest. It has like a similar shape and like arch to it. Like it kind of like sticks off of the armor a little bit, which I like. Just overall good use of colors. It's not too busy. I mean, if you look at his arm, the one arm is just a white arm. Yeah,
it's just white. But it's that complete color inversion where the white and blue flips, and you're like, this is something, you know?
Yeah, something about it just works. It's another one of those, you know, each part individually looks really nice, which I'm sure they kept in mind because you can collect the parts individually. And visually, it lets you know that something is different about X. Like, he used to have, you know, white gloves, now he's got blue gloves. And he used to have blue arms, now he's got white arms. And yeah, it might seem a little simple to just, you know, flip it or whatever, but you know what? Sometimes less is more.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this armor really captures it. I like that if you stop and look at him, the gold on the forehead makes a nice triangle with the gold on the ankles. I think that is really cool how, you know, I always try to look for lines. Like, if a character stands still, are there certain features that jump out if you focus on individual colors or individual details, you know? And I like that. I like that the gold, you know, on his head for the left and right kind of matches the gold that's on the ankles. I like that on the shoulder pads, there's these like little black, I don't know, pads or patches or something. And that's mirrored again on the pelvis. There's like this little thing that sticks down, like a little groin guard or something. I think that's super cool. The blue trim around the chest, even though it's the same shape as the yellow trim around the ankles, the blue trim is mirrored again around the shoulder pads, which is cool. I think that's really nice. And again, I don't know if this is, you know, echoing the same design philosophy, but the black shoulder pads and the black groin guard thing, it's also on the Buster. There's like a black circle and a line going around that red thing.
And the helmet has black above the gem.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That's true. And it's really cool how they did that. And I also think what's cool is the ankles that you see, they're mirrored or echoed again on the elbow for the Buster, which is super cool. So it's like, oh, I get it. So he's got this joint on the Buster and these joints on the legs. Whenever I see like ankle joints, it makes me think like this is like an extra heavy piece of equipment or like an extra special piece of equipment, and it needs these joints to help make it more mobile. Like that's what my brain automatically fills in. So, you know, X has an upgraded Buster, therefore he needs these extra joints to like, you know, heave it around and stuff. It's not as flimsy, you know.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
And my favorite thing about the entire design is that it is made up of 3 colors, mostly, aside from, like, black. It's white, blue, and yellow and black for trim. And the only red on the entire armor is on the forehead, because that is, like, a central showcase of X. It's supposed to be, like, this big standout thing on his head, which is now even bigger than it was before, to, I guess, showcase his power. The red is on the elbow for the Buster, which helps break up the white, and it's on the barrel of the Buster. And that, to me, always made me feel like this is like... It's almost like caution lines, like at a construction site. If you see the red tip of this Buster, it's kind of like, oh, this is dangerous, you don't want to be near this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me, like, a feeling of, like, danger or power, because that's the only part of the whole armor that's red, you know? It's a little asymmetrical in that sense, because there's no red anywhere else. That part of the Buster isn't echoing any other design motifs anywhere else on the entire Buster except for X's forehead gem, which, in a vague sort of sense, is like a symbol of his power. So to see that mimicked or echoed, I am making up freaking words, I don't know what I'm saying. The point is, to see that on the Buster, says to me that, like, yeah, this is like an emphasis on how powerful this Buster is. And it is still, to this day, in my opinion, the Buster with the best supercharge shot. That's my opinion. I do like the plasma shot from the Ultimate Armor, because it's so ridiculously huge. But man, there's something so satisfying about firing off a charge shot that creates a giant plasma bubble around you.
Yes, that
from
is
the
awesome.
sheer shockwave of it. And that's something that's never been done ever again, and I don't know why.
It was too cool.
It really was. Like, they've never been like, oh, let's do like a Buster that gives you like recoil, or a Buster that, like, you know, when you shoot it creates like a damaging vertical, you know, shockwave. You know, like when the Death Star blows up, that ring goes out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that ring exists. Like, you especially see it in X4. They animated that when you shoot off a charge shot, but they've never done anything like special with it. You know,
right? It's just
like,
visual flair.
It's just it's just like the muzzle flash, so to speak. But X1 is the only time an armor has had that cool interactive damaging effect just from shooting it, and that's not even the bullet. That's not even the shot. That's just the what happens when you shoot the dang thing. You know? We're not even talking about the bullet, which instead of one big, you know, cannonball shot, it's this crazy spiral pink thingy of energy swirling all around itself. It's super nuts. It's super awesome. Very, very cool. Very visually interesting. And, I don't know, man. All of these elements make the first armor one of my favorites of all time.
I like how the shot is pink. Like, I think that's just a good touch. It's not what you would expect. Yeah. You know, because it's like, oh, it's gonna be red. You know, because his Buster's red. But, I kind of like how in, skipping ahead a bit, but in Maverick Hunter X, when Zero gives you his Buster, instead of you finding it from Dr. Light, you get his red shot instead of the spiral, so
that is a nice touch.
It is a really nice touch. But it's so unique. Like, you're just shooting out these guys and they're just swimming and killing enemies, and it's great. I wish the damage could stack against bosses. Like, think of the X2 shot, how you can shoot them back to back and they both do damage. Instead of one part touching it and then it just, you know, it doesn't do anymore.
Yeah, that would be something. I guess
that's
it's difficult to balance only because I don't know how many actual shots are involved in the Spiral Crush. But I know that if each of those pink projectiles did 1 damage, you would melt bosses, because there's just about 32 of them in there. There's probably like 16 Spiral Crush shots. Let me see.
Well, maybe just make 12, it into...
because I think there's 4 or 5 bullets that are all spiraling.
Right.
And that's on like one, because there's 3 spirals, and each spiral consists of 4 shots, I think. So 4 and 4 is 8, plus another 4 is 12. So I think there's 12. So even if each of those did 1 damage, that's 12 damage just melted off of a boss's
I
health
mean,
bar.
that's how Dive does it. Each one is separate, but...
I think a good compromise to make the... Since you can't really make each individual projectile do, like, 1 damage, it would still be devastating. A good compromise would be have the charge shot trigger invulnerability frames, but have the shockwave not trigger invulnerability frames. This way you can hit them with the shockwave and the spiral crush, so now there's like an incentive to get up in a boss's face and just point blank blast them with this thing.
Okay, I could see that.
I think that would be... So this way, instead of it being like 12 shots melting their health bar, you can do like a 1-2 punch of damage, and I think that would be fair.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were saying how this design is really sleek, so let's just add a little bit more detail. Go to the American box art.
Oh yeah, let's head on over there.
So, the full chest is gold, which for years I thought that was how it was supposed to be. Like, I would disagree with official art. I'm like, that's not right.
Yep, I used to feel the same way, because I had just started getting into Dragon Ball Z, so around the same time. So again, I thought this was like mimicking some kind of Saiyan armor, and I'm like, yeah, the gold goes all the way down to the belt line, because that's how it works on Vegeta. So that's what I thought. Yeah,
and he gets a little bit of muscles, and his it looks like the Buster is out further. Like, it looks like
it's sliding off his arm.
Yeah, well, that's how I imagine it. Like, instead of his hand going into it, the gun goes forward, and like up to where his hand would be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a little spike on the bottom. I always used to think that was like a missile.
Like, that's what I thought. I always thought it was. I was like, is that a harpoon? Because he's underwater in this image.
Right.
I thought it was the homing torpedo, because I'm like, oh, he's fighting Launch Octopus, and he beats him, and he gets the missile. So I thought it was like loading the missile up into.
Yep.
Why would they add that?
I don't know. And then it's got the classic Mega Man power gauge on top. That's pretty neat.
Yep. For no reason. It has a gradient, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And he's blushing. He's very embarrassed.
Yeah, he's blushing because his Buster is sliding off of his arm, and he's like, "Oh no, how embarrassing! Now all the Mavericks are gonna make fun of me."
Now I really have to take him out.
There must be no witnesses.
Just shooting eggs in completely wrong direction.
Yeah, well. Remember, this is an old school box art, and if there's a gun on screen, it has to be shooting.
That's right. It has to be shooting, and we have to show all the details, even if we're breaking limbs. But I think we're doing pretty good here.
Yeah. Just while we're on it, why don't we talk about Launch Octopus for a minute? I don't remember him having fangs. Do you?
As much as I remember him being purple.
Yeah, he's just entirely purple. There's no individual colors, just all purple. I think the fish are a nice touch in the background.
Yeah, the fish and the sinking boat that's also shooting missiles, and then there's the snake.
For some reason, the sign droppers, the little helicopter dudes, are underwater. I don't know why they're underwater. I don't think I ever put together that that's what those guys were until this very moment.
Well, you know what? We could be assuming. They might not be underwater at all. Maybe the ship is flying.
You know what? I guess you're right. Those fish and that kelp are probably just air kelp. That's just what happens.
You never know. Oh, wait, no, there's bubbles coming out of his mouth. Unless those are air bubbles. But not air bubbles, but...
Out of whose mouth?
It looks like it. Look at X's helmet. If you go...
Oh, I think that's lens flare.
Ah, well, what about above the M on Mega?
Oh, you're right. That is indeed a bubble.
Like bubbles going up. All right.
I thought that was the lens flare continuing, but I think you're right. That is a bubble.
Maybe it's both.
Maybe it's both. It's a lens flare bubble. I just needed to point this out. The ship is dead. Because when you first find it, the eyes are lit up, but the eyes are blackened here, meaning that it is dead. So that sub is falling.
Yep, it's doing one last Hail Mary with the missiles.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah, so we got the sign droppers. They're purple for some reason, and they're coming after X underwater. Yeah, okay, here's the thing. Now I'm just picturing the sign drop. Well, you know what? They were there actually in the stage, but they were like above the water.
Right, they were above the boat.
Yeah, but now they're under the water and they're under the boat, and now I'm just picturing like if the propeller spins and they're like, "We're gonna get you, X," and like it just pulls them out of the water because like it's pushing down.
I mean, who says they're attacking right now? Maybe they're on vacation or dying.
That's true. Maybe they are on vacation. It's a Caribbean vacation, and Mega Man X came and just ruined everything, and just Launch Octopus is pretty pissed about it. I mean, he's got like a home plate on his forehead instead of a Maverick symbol. I also like the Ouroboros, the dragon, sea dragon thing in the back. That's a nice detail, and I think that's cool. But he's looking a little pointy in the face. I don't know what's up with that.
Well, he saw X's Buster, and he's like, I need some of that point.
Hold up. I think we have another beat situation on our hands.
Oh
Do
my
you see
god.
the green fish next to the yellow one? He's like, oh my god. He's like, oh, what's going on over here?
Oh,
It's just
time to swim away!
oh, gotta get away. Oh, he gonna do it. They're gonna fight.
Blub, blub, the Patty's glub!
The Krabby Patty. Goodness gracious. Great balls of plasma. So yeah.
It looks fine. That's the one I'm so familiar with.
Yeah, because that's the one I've seen all the time. It wasn't until, like, the advent of the internet.
Yep.
When the internet was invented in 1991. No, I'm kidding. I just like seeing this armor, and aside from the power gauge and the weird yellow panels all around the whole body, I think it's like 100% accurate, except for, the artistic license taken here or there.
Yeah, it's like the American Sonic things. How it was like the same drawings but redrawn in an American style. Instead of just doing completely its own thing.
I feel like Sonic definitely influenced the American box art for Mega Man. Or maybe it was vice versa,
maybe it was a yo-yo effect. Mega Man influenced Sonic, and then the influence started to go the other way.
Right, because like a lot of American box art was always like airbrushed and kind of looked like this. Like it was always like a painting that looked like it could be on the back of a pickup truck. For whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why they do that, but that was just the American thing to do at the time. Just take existing artwork and not necessarily trace it, but like redraw it. Because like there is a Japanese version of this artwork. Like it's literally the same thing. They just rotated it and like drew over it, and then made him shoot for no reason.
Has to be shooting.
Has to be shooting. It's a gun on screen. It has to be shooting. Those are the rules. Like I just imagine like this is some poor guy in Capcom USA is just like, do we have to do this? And like his manager is just tapping a sign on the wall. The laws. Nintendo screwed us when they had that whole video game industry thing when they were the only people controlling games going out. So now we gotta follow their rules. If there's a gun on the cover, it's gotta be shooting.
Have gun, must shoot.
Yeah, that was part of Nintendo's licensing agreements.
Oh man, but
oh goodness.
That's all I've got to say about the cover art version.
Yeah, same here. I'm glad we got to break down the cover art as well. So that's a little bonus for you guys.
Yep. But we got one more iteration of the first armor. That is the Maverick Hunter X version. There's just enough differences for it to almost be its own thing. Yeah,
it's almost like a version 2 of that armor. And there is a little bit more to say.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna start at the top and work my way down, and if I miss anything, I'll let you do them.
All right, cool. Go right ahead. I will follow along with you.
All right. The fins are big and sharp on the head.
Yes.
And I kind of like that. The head gem is now more of a diamond shape.
Yes, it has like a point, which is neat. I like that.
It's got a gold necklace on. Looking cool.
Yeah, he does.
The shoulders are a little bit bigger, maybe? I don't know.
I
wish I
more angular
could see the
is
top.
what they are.
It looks like it has blue trim that goes inward instead of the black lines.
Yes, there's less black on this version for some reason, which looking at it as a whole, I think it needs the black on the shoulder pads. But that's just me. We'll get to that later. But otherwise, yeah.
His belt made an inverse, so now it's gold on the band, and then there's no buckle. It just goes straight into the codpiece.
Yes, right into the crotch protector. I actually like the shape of that crotch protector, the black thingy. I think that's a nice,
cool.
you know, like there's some things in this that I really like, and some things that I'm like I don't, but I don't hate it or anything. So I don't know.
Well, the arm, it added black around where it turns into a hand. I think that's kind of neat to break it up.
So this isn't really mind blowing or anything like that. But there's a piece of artwork which, if you haven't put it up in the video, put it up now.
Here it is.
Where Haruki Suetsugu drew the first armor in his style, like like the X5, X6 kind of style, because Mega Man Extreme called for it. He needed to draw artwork of all the characters from Mega Man Extreme, including the armor. He did it for X1 armor, which unfortunately we didn't get one for the X2 armor. I don't know, because Extreme 2 got snubbed for whatever reason. They were like, all right, we'll give you Iris, but we're not going to do any special artwork for any of the characters or armor. So, yeah, that was the trade-off, unfortunately. The monkey's paw, so to speak. But if you look at his wrist, he actually does have a little bit of black trim going around the arm. Me, in my opinion, is like the quote-unquote canon version of what that arm... Because it's just the first armor, but drawn in an updated, more detailed art style. So that's the reference I always use when I look at it. But I do agree that putting a black band around the wrist in the Maverick Hunter X version to be thicker and more prominent, that's the way to go.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It breaks up the white a little bit.
The Buster looks the same. It's just longer, but that's, an artistic choice.
Yeah, but I think that's just Maverick Hunter X proportions.
There's no torpedo sticking out of it. But
thankfully.
So the legs, we have a lot changed here. So the yellow stripe, it incorporates the blue that was above it and changes that yellow too. Makes the ankle joints blue, which I think looks pretty nice. And then the feet have a cool little base to them that goes up onto the toe attacker. I like it.
Yes, they give him the toe attacker. Can I just mention that I like that toe attacker has become so incorporated into our vocabulary that you can say it and you don't even think twice about it now.
I've seen other people start to say it.
I'm glad. I want toe attacker to become normalized because that describes a very specific portion of Mega Man anatomy, and everyone knows what it is if you all start using the same term. So it is the tip of the toe that forms that little thing that Zero has is the toe attacker, and other characters have them too. So yes, he gets a toe attacker.
Yep. It's a makeshift toe attacker.
Yes.
But I like it. I don't know, like, I think I'm so used to the regular first armor that seeing this is kind of a refreshing change. You know?
The if I had my way, the only things I think I would really change is I want to make the best version of this armor.
Okay.
I would take the helmet from the Maverick Hunter X version because I think that is the better helmet. I would keep the chest from the original first armor, but I would give it a gold neck connector thingy. I think that's nice, but I like the bulkiness of the original. I would keep the belt buckle, the white belt buckle that goes around the pants, the panties. But I would keep the black codpiece shape thingy because I like that it's like a hexagon. I like that kind of shape to it rather than just like the flat trapezoid thing that they have. Yeah. The Buster can stay. The Buster's perfect. You don't gotta change anything about the Buster. For the legs, I do like that the blue kind of breaks it up, but I don't know if something about it is like too blue to me. I kind of like the idea that only X's furthest extremities are blue, as in the gloves and the feet. And so I don't think he should have too much blue anywhere else on the design, except for maybe the shins. because like when you look at it, it forms a nice point, a nice line going from the shin down to the tip of the toe.
Right.
So having blue on the sides kind of like messes with me a little bit. So I think I would actually just make the ankles white again. The gold on the original is kind of like sticking out a bit. It's like thicker. I would actually keep it gold, the whole thing, instead of the blue on there. And I would just make that stick out more. You know, make it thicker. Because right now it just kind of conforms to the white, and it doesn't stick out anymore.
Yeah, I mean that might just be the art style, but it's hard to tell.
Well, if you look at it, you can see that it's basically just a seam.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other one, it's like very clearly like it sticks out.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think even
yeah.
if you look at the sprites, you can see the yellow trim is definitely like it comes off of the armor a bit. And same thing in the chest. If you look at the Maverick Hunter X chest, the blue trim, it's basically just flat. It doesn't do anything. Whereas the one on the original, it sticks out more. It's like
it's got depth to it. Yeah.
And this armor looks like they were trying to redesign it for like speed, which is fine, but it should also be redesigned for armor. It doesn't look as armory so much as it looks like a recolored. If you don't give it a little bit of three-dimensional stuff to it.
The other one looked like armor that went over his normal armor, and this one is a replacement armor. You know what I mean? Like the old chest isn't under there.
Yeah, and the only other two things I would change is I like the white soles of the feet, and I want him to keep a toe attacker, but I would make the toe attacker black, and I would add the black pads or whatever they are onto the shoulder pads again. And again, I would make the blue trim stick out a little bit, like in the original. But I like the angular shape of the Maverick Hunter X one. So, like, I like the shaping of the one from Maverick Hunter X, but I don't like that it doesn't have as much bulk to it. It doesn't stick out as much. It's all very... It just sticks to X's default shape, whereas I would prefer if he had a few things sticking off of him to make it look like, yeah, this is armor that's layered on top of him. You know, to make him look more defensive and more powerful. Because, like, if you look at this versus the original, it's like, which one looks like he's more powerful? You know what I mean? Which one looks like more has changed? You could technically paint... If, like the yellow trim, especially in the legs, looks like you could have just painted it on. You know? If you just painted it onto him, how would you know that yellow trim is anything unique? And especially in the original game, because once you get the leg upgrade, you can kick blocks apart. This is without having to get the helmet upgrade.
Right.
But I don't see anything like that in here. It just kind of looks like, well, why wouldn't he have been able to do that previously? All you did was add yellow trim. But when you have it stick off a little bit, even though it doesn't make logical sense when you say it out loud, but your brain, like, you didn't notice it, but your brain did. When it sticks out like that, it says, like, oh yeah, this is like an important piece. This is an additional part of his stuff. Like, I always imagined the yellow trim on his head, that's the part that's busting up the blocks.
Yeah,
just
that's
his
what
head.
I always thought.
I always thought it was like an implement for crushing these blocks. So by flattening them to the armor, it takes away from it, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I thought it was the yellow on the leg is, for some reason, what made him dash. It was like the power came from the yellow, and same with the helmet. Like, that's where the block breaking came from. Like, it especially makes sense on the Maverick Hunter version, because it's sticking up, you know.
Yeah, I really like those fins that because the original ones, while they are cool, they just kind of like conform to the head and then just connect in the back. I much prefer the Maverick Hunter X version, where they come back and they don't conform to the head exactly. Once they reach the top of the head, they almost go straight back, as if to emphasize the speed. And I can just imagine, like, when X gets into a dashing position, those fins are, like, pointed straight back. You know what I mean? Like, when he lays down, sort of.
Yeah.
You know, and that I can totally, like, you know, agree with. And, well, I'll talk about that particular shape later. There's another armor that does something like this, only instead of on the head, it's on the chest. But it has the same exact kind of, like, angle, so that when you lay down into a dash position, the fins are pointed straight back, almost guiding you, you know, almost pushing you forward. So that's what I really like about the Maverick Hunter X1, and another armor way down the line that we're going to talk about also has a similar feature.
Ooh, who do you think it'll be?
Yeah, you guys go ahead and guess which one it is. I'm gonna give you a hint. He doesn't like going to the vet anymore. But but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a cool redesign. I just wish it was a little bit bulkier to emphasize the armor aspect rather than like the speed aspect. Because I mean, dashing is just like a normal part of it, and it's not like you get like a super dash. It's just a dash.
Yeah.
This would be suited for like a blade armor super dash. You know what I mean? It gives me blade armor vibes.
Oh yeah.
Like if you had the mock dash.
Yeah, there might be some inspiration from it.
Yeah. Then I could see all of his armor sticking to his default profile. You know, his silhouette. Because the whole point is that he's supposed to be as little air resistance as possible.
Right.
But since this is supposed to be an upgrade in power and an upgrade in armor, I just want him to be just a skosh bulkier, just in the trim, you know?
Yeah. Man, we got so robbed. I was so looking forward to seeing all the armors get redesigned. You know, like this? Like, just these little slight redesigns.
Yeah, I was excited too.
Oh well. Which first armor's your favorite?
Yes. Which first armor is your favorite? Is it the first armor or the first armor?
Or first armor with a torpedo.
Yeah, or is it the first armor with the torpedo? Don't pick that one just to be different. I see you typing there. Yeah, let us know down below what is your favorite version of the first armor. The armor's so nice they made it twice. As an added bonus, because this is one of the more fashionable armors in my opinion,
right.
What color scheme works best on this armor based on boss weapons?
Oh.
I am quite partial to Horming Torpedo. I think Horming Torpedo looks really cool. He's got this nice military gray on him. I think that's super cool. And I quite like the way he looks with Chameleon Sting. I think green looks really good on this armor too. Purple is also pretty good for a Storm Tornado.
I'm gonna go with Shotgun Ice. Shotgun Ice is my favorite color scheme on X1 in general. I think it works better without armor. But I love just the yellow and light blue contrast. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, also, I second that as well. I really like Shotgun Ice, and I use it quite a bit whenever I play, so that's what I see a lot. So yeah, let us know down below which version of the armor is your favorite, and which color scheme for a boss is your favorite. Let us know.
I like that. We're gonna have to do that for all of them.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back on the previous one and go warn past Cole and I that we want you guys to also comment what is the best color scheme for X out of all of his weapons. That might be quite a large list though, because that's default X with everything. So maybe we will just keep it to the armors, because then you only have a pool of 8 colors to go for. Yep.
All right then. That's the first armor. I hope you enjoyed.
That is the first armor, yeah. We're going to be moving on to, of course, the second armor, because we know how to count in this house. And we're going to be talking about that one.
Yep. So, I hope you join us then.
Yeah, we'll see you guys then. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.